negros, indios nativos, somos los verdaderos israelitas.
¿Esto dónde lo dice según el
Esto dice en la Biblia.
Show that Puerto Ricans love America, but that ain't reality.
Police attack was planned beforehand. Only white cops were assigned.
Then our only recourse is to defend ourselves.
We tried to move people onto the sidewalks, but the police were all out for blood.
Another series of protests was staged by thousands of students, parents, and the Brown Berets. In June 1968, the group that had become known as the East LA 13 was released on bail.
Demonstrate to our people and we deserve better and that we could, get better.
I don't think there's ever been a time when we need more of the spirit of the young lords than today.
I guess we had no fear. We just did what we thought at the time was the right thing to do.
National captain of the Black Panther Party. They are making it their business to process arresting me and my wife, through a process of arresting numerous Panthers on the block.
Police just went in and started beating them viciously. It was ugly. They were just yelling at us, you dirty spicks, dirty Mexicans, who do you think you are?
Ok, vamos a darle pues. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah, Yahweh Hashem, Alatah Hashem, Yahweh Shai, to all the sisters joining in and watching the program, The Water. Once again, this is Kazak Yad of the ISUPK coming out of California, 125th Street, Harlem, New York City, under Commanding General Yohana. You know what it is. As always, the inconvenient truth every Wednesday, hosting myself right here, bringing in that heavy truth. As always, I'm thankful for that. Everybody that jumps in and logs on to the show, that appreciate all the love and the support that you give. The inconvenient truth is about going to be our 6th year on, so that's quite some time. Remember, I'm also on the ISUPK The Res, ISUPK Latino America, ISUPK California. You can jump on the ISUPK YouTube if this channel just so happens to fall out or fade out or something like that. And as always, I go live on my Kazak Yad live feed on my Facebook, just in case, as backup. I like to have everything going just in case. So once again, let me jump on that real quick and start all over again. Tawada for everybody for joining in. ISUPK California presents The Inconvenient Truth. As always, we've been here to bring that heavy Chicano truth and everything else that comes along with it. The water to everybody who jumps in. Any questions, let me know. Any comments, anything you want to say, want to jump into the program, let me know. You know what it is. That's what we're here for, letting everybody know about the ISUPK. Join in, man. Get yourself right. Get yourself in black. Become a trooper in the truth. Help your people out. Give love. Show love. You know what I mean? No other way but to join and really speak for your brothers. You know what I mean? If you really have love for your brothers, what you're going to do is you're going to speak for your brothers. That's the way it works. You can't go on and say you love your brother and not do nothing to help your brother. That's really kind of like, that's not the way it works. That's being a hypocrite. If you say you love your brother, but then you don't help your brother, then what good are you? You know what I mean? So let me see. Let me go on. Malik Gutierrez, Shalom Yahweh Bashim Yishai Barakatah. Mariah Ya'ala, Shalom Yahweh. Mariah Ya'ala, Shalom Yahweh Bashim Yishai Barakatah. Karnal, the water for jumping in. Halak, Shalom Yahweh Yadi. Shalom Karnal, Shalom Yahweh Bashim Yishai Barakatah. Okay, so man, let's go into something heavy today. I had something I was gonna talk about. the reason why I wanted to bring it up is, first of all, you know, before I go on, I want to tell you about that story about that young lady, you know, that went in and saved her kids against all odds. Pretty sure you all seen that story about the shooting that took place out in Buffalo, and how the one sister, against all odds, decided to jump past. Well, she was handcuffed, and then she decided to jump all police and go in and save her kids anyways. And then she got what the last thing I heard is she was getting harassed by the police. She got arrested. She had to go to court because they wanted her not to speak on what had happened. They wanted her to stay silent after she had Shalom Mariam and Shalom Yashar Banath, the water for jumping in, sis. Much appreciated. Halak, absolutely. I'm going to speak on that too. So what's going on? What I was speaking about is that that young lady that just so happened to have jumped over, right, the police board line that they had made in what was that during the shooting in Buffalo. And this young lady, this Hispanic lady who just so happened to work in the fields, right? She decided she wasn't going to wait to see what the outcome was going to be of her children. So what she decided to do was go against the police department and just go ahead and go save her children. I'm pretty sure that anyone who's a mother or a father, now that you see all that happen, I'm pretty sure us too, we feel the same way as she did. We would gladly go in there and save our children, no matter at what the cost. You know, you're going to shoot me, you're going to kill me, so be it. But my children, I'm going to save them. Uvalde Police, that's right, Manalik. Let me go ahead and post that. It says, Manalik says, Uvalde Police not entering school when shooter was active. Exactly. So the shooter was doing his thing, right? Killing the children and being the monster that he was. And this sister decided, man, that's my kids in there. So with all the love she has for her children, she went in there to save her kids. And so after she did this, now she's getting, how is that? She's getting harassed. She's getting a bad letter. She's getting a bad report from the police department there because she decided to speak to the media about how she had to go in there and save her children and how the police did nothing to help her or any of the children that were there at the moment. And as we said, you know, I'm pretty sure the whole school, we've all spoke about it. That's what the school is about. We're going to continue to speak about these things. We're going to continue to add these things. I will continually speak about the children in the detention center. I will continually speak about the sisters who are disappearing on the reservations year after year, the murders and the rapes and the abductions of the sisters. I will continually speak about the children that had to go to the boarding schools and the residential schools in there. I will continually speak about the atrocities committed on my people. I will continually speak about the black brothers and sisters who in slavery had to die for all this. I will continually speak on these things. I won't shut down. I will not stop, because the day I stop is the day our history stops. And America wants to remember their history all the time. They want to always remember their 4th of July. They always want to remember their 9/11. They always want to remember their tragedies, their instances, their downfalls, and their greatness, and their their accomplishments. Well, guess what? I also am not going to forget what happened to my people. I will also continue to remember the Shalom Shabar Yahweh Shim Yashab Barakatah Kapar Shalom Yahweh Shim Yashab Barakatah Karnal Kwamwa Shalom Yahweh Shim Yashab Barakatah Arwan and so on. So of course I will not stop. I will not forget. I will continue this. I always have. Coming into the truth, I come from a background of being like this already. Like, this is already in me. So coming into the truth is just a plus for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I came into the truth, and this is like a plus for me to come into this truth, because in this truth, it just gave me a forum to speak what I always spoke. It just gave me a forum. It gave me a place for me to fit in and continue doing as I always done. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be fooled by the way a man looks, because his heart is like a lion, though the outside may be like a kitten or a cat. You never know what the inside is like. Us men are born from the inside. You don't make one from the outside. We're already born like that. Like we come like this already. We don't form ourselves. We don't make that. We just perfect ourselves. But from inside, we were already like this from day one. We died like this and we relived like this. So this is the way it is. Tawada Gutierrez, no compromise. So I don't compromise. I'm going to speak like this all the time, no matter where I'm at. Work, you know, with the people I party with, the people I hang out with my brothers and sisters, with my family. They understand that, man, this guy always spoke like that, always speaks like that. And, you know, some people have a problem. Oh, well, that's what it is. What is that word? No matter who don't like it, well, I'm going to speak about my people no matter who don't like it. I'm going to speak about my raza, about our problems, about the way we were, of the greatness of my people, of the greatness of our history. Once again, no matter who don't like it. Lo que está tranquilo, tranquilo se deja. Absolutely, what is right is right, and you're gonna leave it like that. Let's go on. So this young lady, same. This young lady that went in to save her children, no one had to train her. She didn't go through training or special training. They didn't take her out to the field to train this woman. She didn't go through what is that? A heavy training, weeks, or what is that? 6 months of training or psychological training. Her instinct as a Hispanic mother kicked in, and she went in to get her kids. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is to be a raza. That's what it is to be an Israelite. That's what it is to be brotherly. That's what it is to be you, man. Like we don't compromise, like the brother said. We just act. That's the way it is. That's why sometimes when, you know, raza, when we, you know, I'm not for the Cholo movement. I think that the whole Cholo movement was kind of like it was a culture that didn't help our people for nothing. It was destructive. What it did was put our children in jail, kill our children on the streets, right? Destroy our neighborhoods, right? What was it? In reality, if the Cholos were really the street people they were and upheld the barrio, then why are our neighborhoods being gentrified today? How come they don't save them if they're so hard and such a great culture and such a, you know, down, what is it? The taller, the higher the sock, the downer the fool. If your socks are so high, then why are you allowing our neighborhoods to be gentrified? Why are you allowing our children to be put in jail? Why are you allowing our children to die and rot? Why is the jail filled with unproportionate numbers of Hispanics? Why are we still doing these things to ourselves? Why are our children still in the cages, in detention centers? Why are we allowing for them to treat Hispanic people like the way they treat us? If your socks are so high and you're so down, then why don't you do something that's down for your people? I seen this, I don't know, man, I want to call him a vato loco, a cholo, a raza. I want to call him that, but he don't fit the description. But he's someone who's in here in LA. He seems to be getting some wind out here because he goes around and he talks about his barrio and the old school cholo movement and, you know, how it was in his hood. And he's parading around with these Edomites who he's teaching the ways of the street and showing them this and that. And I look at that fool and I'm thinking, really, you showing you showing the downside of our people? You showing he's going through a neighborhood that has a Mexican store, that has a Mexican business, that has Mexican people, that has, you know, why not stop and say, look at this is what Mexican people do. This is how we handle our business. This is what keeps our communities alive. This is what makes our neighborhood great. These people right here, this business owner, this old man who's selling corn, this old man who has this zapateria, this guy who sells ice cream, this guy who sells corn, this guy who has a clothing store out on the boulevard, this guy who has a clothing brand and he's trying to make it happen, this guy who has this taquero, who has this, you know, why doesn't he point out that these are the people, these are the Hispanic people that keep our neighborhoods alive, that keep our people up, that really are the foundation to what our people should be like? Why doesn't this guy stop for a moment and instead of worrying about who's going to shoot him in the back or what it's like to walk in the neighborhood? I walk through his neighborhood all the time. I'm in this guy's neighborhood daily. Like I'm in this guy's barrio all the time. I go to a lot of places that he's afraid of, that he's got to watch his back, and yet I walk tranquilly. I'm driving down up and down his neighborhoods, and I don't have a worry in the world. I'll get off and I'll buy in his store. I'll get off and I'll go to his little market in Mercadito, East LA, Boyle Heights. I go eat there. I take my wife. I take my kids. Me and Lahab, we go down there. We drive around freely without a worry in the world. We're not worried. We're not scared. That's fear. You fear your own people because of something you did in the past. Well, we all done something in the past. The difference is, how are we going to recompense for what we did? And how are we going to come back? And this woman here is more braver than that gangbanger there. This woman was braver because she went in and saved her children from the clutches and the hands of a wicked bastard, of a devil. She went in there and she snatched them right out of his hands. This gangster, this gangbanger, this cholo is walking around the neighborhood being afraid of his own people, thinking that I can't even eat here because I got to watch my back. He's teaching this Edomite how to walk the neighborhood and how he should be looking in his back and the certain way they walk and the certain things they have to do to make sure that they're safe. They've created a war zone in our neighborhoods. They've created a war zone in our schools, in our system, within our people. And then they want to blame it on everybody else when they're the problem. They're the ones who created this. And this is my people. I love my people. But why don't we find the solution? Why don't we find the solution to the problem that you created? Instead of glorifying the problem, instead of saying, well, this is the way we looked and this is what it is to be down. This is how high your socks have to be. Well, that doesn't help us. Teaching my kids to wear shorts that go beyond the knees and socks that go above the knee, that doesn't help my kids. You know what I mean? To tattoo your face doesn't help my kids. To tattoo your neck doesn't help my kids. You know what I'm saying? To tag yourself with your hood, that doesn't help my kids. How is that glorifying or even helping the problem that's at hand, which is the death of my people, the destruction of our neighborhoods, the gentrification of our communities? How does this help? Where is this in the solution to the raza problem, to the Chicano problem? Where is this in the solution to the people that are coming from other countries in Latin America and coming here to find their kids are going to grow up in that? Because their kids are hanging around with kids whose dads glorify that, right? Is that what it is? Since your dad's glorifying it, then I have to glorify it, and in return, my kids glorify it. And then what happens is that in the school, my kids' friends are now in the same boat that I am, because they're also glorifying what I decided to do because my socks are all the way up. Come on now. Where is making sense there? Where is that at? Yahweh Yadai, envy not the oppressor. Absolutely. And you know what? We've oppressed ourselves for all this time. We've oppressed ourselves because we've miseducated ourselves. We've believed in the goddamn Christian and Catholic Church, and that's oppression in itself. We've believed in the white Jesus, and that's oppression in itself. We have the Virgin Marys and the statues and the saints and the Mexican flag. I'm even going to go into the Mexican flag. And the Mexican flag, which is not really our flag, and yet we oppress ourselves. Because even when we wear that flag, we don't really mean it. Because now we have a flag that's split in half. Half of it is the Mexican flag and the other half is the American flag. Now we live in confusion because now we're Americanized Mexicans. Now we're Americanized Latinos. Now we're these people who are just roaming around half and half. What is that? Let me see. Give me 1 second. I just thought of a precept that I wanted to bring out, right? And that's in Genesis 49, 14, and 15, which is probably the best way for me to explain this that I'm talking about when I talk about an American flag that's half red, white, and green, Mexican flag, and half American flag. I see it. I see people like that. Shabar, absolutely. We got to break that generational curse. And that's absolutely true what this brother's saying. That generational curse is because every generation before us has been glorifying this movement, has been glorifying this. And you know what? It's funny because, you know, even now, you know, when you see a brother like me who decides, you know what, I ain't gonna take that. But then you see a brother like them, people tend to be like, oh, that brother's down. They look at that brother and they're like, oh man, he's hardcore. He's down. He comes from that background. What background? The background that destroyed my people? Is that what down is? Is that what being down is? Is that what it is to look like being down? I'll tell you something. I don't think so. I don't think that's being down. When I look at a bald head, tattooed up, gangster cholo, I don't see someone who is down. I see someone who destroyed my people on purposely. I see someone who chose to uphold a block instead of uphold his people. And when we look at these people and we give them props for being like that, so then what are we trying to say? What is the message we're sending? We want to see more of these down people? I'll tell you, down, go take those goddamn tattoos off. Go grow some hair. And you know what? Take those goddamn shorts off and drop those socks to a good level. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? Do the right thing. Because what is that teaching our children? And then when we decide to do that, then what it is that we actually honor the destructive nature of a culture that never did nothing for our people. And let me tell you something. There is a difference between Cholo and Pachuco. That's two different people, two different cultures, two different times. When I see a Pachuco, I see a zoot suiter perhaps, right? Or someone who was dressed in a certain manner, who had some kind of style, you know what I'm saying? This is the Pachuco that I remember. But then the Pachuco somewhere around turned into a Cholo. The Pachuco knew his neighborhood. The Pachuco knew where he was at, and he knew the trouble that he was going through with America. And he knew the hatred that the Americans had for the Pachucos and the Chicanos. The Cholo, on the other hand, doesn't know that. The Cholo claims to be Mexican-American. The Cholo claims to have American heritage within his blood because he's in America now. The Cholo never upheld his neighborhood, just his block, because his whole neighborhood got gentrified. His whole community went to the Chinese, to the Arabs, to the Caucasians, and they did nothing to stop the gentrification. They should have all gathered the way they used to on the block and went down to goddamn City Hall, at least made some posters, stop gentrifying the neighborhood, stop gentrifying my hood, my block, my barrio. But they couldn't even do that. Instead, what they did do is see our children die on the streets of our barrios, die in the prison system, and become another number in a system that overwhelmed us with our children, disproportionately to the fact of the Caucasian, the Asian, the Arabs, the Armenians, and all other races who also are destructive to us. You know what I'm saying? Khan, Malik, the Zoot Suit riots at the hands of the oppressor, some still stand. Well, I hear what you're saying. The Zoot Suit riots wasn't Mexican on Mexican crime. It was white on Mexican crime. So how do we uphold a culture that didn't do us any good? On the contrary, it became destructive to us. So now you got, like I was saying, a flag that's half American and half Mexican. Now you got your children that are Mexican American. Now you got people that come to America and then become U.S. citizens, and now they're calling themselves Mexican Americans. You got Mexicans who come over, eat McDonald's, and all of a sudden now they're Mexican American. You know what I'm saying? And they get mad because you talk about America. They want to celebrate 4th of July. They want to celebrate Memorial Day. They're proud of America. They're America so proud because now they're half and half. Well, let me tell you something. The Lord himself talks about this in the book of Genesis 49. 14 through 15. But I'll go straight to 15, right? you know, oh, Salakia, that's the wrong precept. Let me get the right one. Salakia, for 1 second, right? Because I know that that this is the problem with our people. The problem with our people is that we don't understand, right, what it is to be, you know, how could I say, patriotic to your people. And it reads like this, Genesis 49:14. Issachar is a strong ass. Now we are, you know what an ass is? An ass is a donkey. The Bible says Mexicans are like donkeys. We're like asses, man. What is an ass but a working animal? An animal who doesn't tire. Like an ass will work and work and work. He like, that's what he is. Es un burro. That's actually, I'll tell you, for the brothers out there, you know, we use that term when we express ourselves to Mexican people who work hard. No, ese cabrón es un burro. That dude's a donkey, man. He's a hard-working individual. You want to count on somebody? Count on him, because he's going to do the job. Es un burro. We use that word. Es un burro. It's a common an analogy that we use on Mexican people who are hard workers. And it says, couching down between two burdens. Now, here's your two burdens. Your burden is in Mexico, and your burden is in America. That's a burden. That's really the problem with our people, that we live in a burden. You know what I'm saying? Like we live, that's the way our lives are all the time. And let me tell you what the definition of burden, a load, typically a heavy load, like something, algo pesado, something heavy on you. You know what I'm saying? It's like something, a heavy load on you. You know what I mean? It's like a heavy load on you. It's something that's always on top of you, something that is hard to endure, a heavy burden, a sorrow, something that's carried, a cargo. You know what I'm saying? What is the cargo that we carry? Well, what is that? Exactly, Miriam. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. That's our burden. Our burden is that we're not wanted in America and we can't live in Mexico. Man, who has a heavier burden than Mexicans? Man, if brothers don't understand, us Mexicans, man, we live in some really, really difficult situation, man. We can't live in America and we can't live in Mexico. Mexico, if you haven't heard, like there's a warning to young, beautiful ladies. Don't go to Mexico because you're going to get stolen off the streets. You know, you can't, Mexico is a tough place. Mexico is burdened by the drug cartels that America implemented there, because America destroyed Mexico. Our government is not even our government. Our government is the government of another nation. They're the ones that run Mexico. We don't have no nationalized oil. We don't have the oil. Our products, our food, our land, they're not nationalized. They sell to other countries. Now we're seeing all these corporations going into Mexico and taking land. And they're building on that land. You know what I'm saying? We see our land being taken by American international corporations. That's what it is. That's what's happening to us. And then we come to America and we're going through the same thing. And most people will tell you, no, that's not true, man. No, we live good in America. We live okay in America, man. We got jobs. We got our cars. Let me tell you something. I know very few Mexicans who don't have nice cars. All Mexicans have like a new car. Like every time you look at a Mexican, he's rolling. You know, he's got something. He doesn't drive no bucket. Most Mexicans, they're gonna get a car. Most young kids are gonna get a job and bam, they're gonna get their car. Most Mexicans like that. We like that. We're gonna get a car regardless. We're gonna my ride. It's a culture for us. Car is a culture for Mexicans. We've always been like that. The lowrider culture has gone beyond that. It's now like, you know, my job, all these kids running in those Dodges, those 360s, or what are they? Those, you know what I'm saying? That Rat Pack. You know what I'm saying? That's what everybody's after. And you go to my neighborhood, right, in Pacoima, and everybody's on those trucks. Everybody's on those Dodge. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's rolling deep because their whole one check goes on their car. That's for sure. Because that's the way we are. That's the way Raza is. And they still got the money to go out and party because that's the way Raza is. Raza like, man, I really don't care. life is short. What is that? What is that? La vida es prestada. That's a term that Mexicans use. No, pues la vida es prestada. Or, you know, in other words, you got to live life. It's only temporary. And they live like that. They live on well, it's only temporary. I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I'm not going to die with this. That's our way of saying it, man. They're not going to bury me with my money. So, oh, well. Mexicans are the one people that get paid today and they spend their check tomorrow. That's the Mexican way of life. I've known it all my life. My family's known it all my life. You only live once, Shara. Absolutely, you only live once. And that's the way Mexicans live. Why? Because we're put into a situation where we realize that, oh, well, you know what? This, man, I may have it today and might not mind have it tomorrow. So what the heck, man? I'm just gonna do it. But since we're like that, we also have that thing of being valiant people, being men, being women. And that incident that happened with that young lady at the school just shows what I'm talking about, the way Mexican people are. Just reflects with that young lady and the way she charged into that school and took out her children at all costs. You know what I'm saying? Showing the police department that I don't need to be trained. I don't need to go through 6 months of training. My children are more important than anything. And they'll go in there and they'll take them. But you know what? The Lord has prepared all this. The Lord has prepared us. He knows the way we are. He knows the way Mexican people are. Man, the Lord knows the way Mexican people are. Like, he knows us. He knows how we're going to be. He knows how we are. We the type of people that, you know, we're family oriented. Like, that woman is an example of all Mexican families, because all Mexican families, I know, they're real tight with their families. Like, they're like their kids. Oh, man, they're my kids, bro, my kids, you know. They love their kids. Like to them, they're about to split up, and they're like, oh man, he ain't thinking about his wife. He's like, man, my kids, boy, my kids. You know, I got this young man at work. He's a Hispanic brother, and he's going through some thing with his girl, and he had to separate from her. And his whole man for months, this young man was like, he'd come to work, and you can tell on his face that he was going through that. And every time I had to be like, man, she's trying to take my daughter. She's trying to take my daughter. Man, all he talked about was she's trying to take my daughter. And I can tell you, bro, don't worry about it. It'll work. Things will work out. She can't take your daughter. Your daughter's got to see you. You got to see her. You just got to adjust to what's going to happen. And hopefully you can work things out eventually. But his whole worry was, man, she's going to take my daughter. Hey, his life, he like, this brother goes, drops his daughter off to school, comes to work. Drops his daughter off to school, comes to work. And then I see her. And I'm always like, Metzli, how are you, Metzli? Oh, y hasta eso que le dio el nombre Metzli, which means a moon in Nahuatl. And her name is Metzli. I'm Metzli, how are you? Oh, I'm with my daddy. I'm with Most High in Christ. You know what I mean? But that just goes to show you how Hispanic people are when it comes to family. You know what? Us Hispanic people, we real trustworthy people. Like we real down people. Like we're the kind of people that at work, out of work, places like that, the majority of us are you know, trustworthy people. Like, we show a lot of love. When you catch us, man, we can be very loving individuals, or we can be the complete opposite. We can be a dangerous monster that's ready to just go all out, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? We can be either or. When we become soldiers, we become soldiers. But when we become a friend, a brother, man, we become a friend. We become a real brother, man. And you know what? Y'all brothers know that from me, you know, firsthand. I ask for nothing. I just know that my house is your house because you're in the ISUPK, and I show that brotherly love regardless of what it is. I show that brotherly because I'm brought up like that. You know what I'm saying? But now let's go into why this is happening to us. Why are people like this? Why do we see this happening? Why did that lady have to run in and save her children? Why are my brothers out there shooting each other? Why are we killing each other? Why are our streets like? Why is that brother prefer to uplift this Edomite and show them our old destructive culture than to show them our good culture, our good life? What is the purpose of all this? Why do we see this? What does that have to do with the fall of this empire? What does that have to do with the destruction that's going on here? Well, for one, you got to understand that when you're dealing with Hispanic people, when you're dealing with La Raza, you have to understand that we can either be a friend or we can be a heavy foe. You know what I'm saying? It was noticeable. I believe it was it was somewhere in the 90s. I remember that me and Lahab, we went to the May Day March, where all Hispanics decided to not go to work in one day. They were like, we're not going to work. All Hispanics, make the call. Don't go to work tomorrow. And I remember that we went down to Alvarado Street in downtown LA, and oh my God, it was an ocean of Hispanic people. Like, the march was forever. This was like, you ain't never seen so many Mexicans in one place. You know what I'm saying? I know we a lot. And that day was incredible. Like, it made Mexican, Latinos, Salvadoreños, Guatemaltecos, all of us, it made us feel proud for a moment. Made us feel like there is some unity between us. There is something that we can do to come together and make a difference. Sometimes you never know. The lighting of a match could explode into something big. And you never know who the match is going to be. The match could be anybody who can ignite the rest of them and lift up a whole nation to do the right thing. Not for nothing were we called Tlotanis in our ancient language. Tlotani means one who speaks. Not for nothing we were called that, because we knew that when that right person speaks, we will all listen. We will all get up. We will all rise. And that's what we wait for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. All we have to do is speak and wake our people up. And that's what we're here for. So what does that have to do with the fall of this empire? It's very simple. The Lord has sent us, the brothers in the ISUPK, to wake up our people. We're the ones that are sent. We are the chosen ones. We're the ones who have been called on to do this job. The Most High has placed it in the Bible, in the book, so that we would know that we were those people. The reason why you don't know that is because it's never been read to you, unless you're in the ISUPK and you watch Commanding General Yohana's show, and then you begin to understand where we're coming from. But once the call is made, those of us who understand this call, those of us who understand these words, man, we come into this to call upon our people. I come here to call my people. That's all I'm here for. Everything else could be secondary to me. But first and foremost, to wake up my people and that Israel may rise, because Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we deserve our place. So let me go into what I'm talking about, because the Lord has called us, and it's very simple. We're going to go into the second Esdras, and we're going to go to chapter 15. I would recommend that I'm going to give you a minute for you to go ahead and grab your Bible, that you might read with me second Esdras chapter 15, because you might hear me, but when you read it, what the Lord wrote, and you read it for yourself in the writings of his own, then you really begin to understand. I can only explain it to you, but reading it off the book is more powerful, because you know it's coming from a source that is yours, that this is your spirit that's been written down here. This is your call, not mine. I'm just the messenger. This is about you. So if you got that book, second Esdras chapter 15, go ahead and open it up. And let's go right to it. And it says like this, chapter 15, verse 1. It says, behold. Now, that's a heavy word, because it's telling you, look here. Behold. You know, he's making a point. Behold. Now, you don't even hear that word out here. Like, I think if you went up to somebody and said, behold, I'm here, they'd look at you like, what the, you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy, you know. But behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. Now here, if you understand what prophecy is, that is something that's going to happen in the future. That is something that's being foretold, that's coming, that's on its way. When he says, behold, and then he says, whisper in the ears, the prophecy, right? When he says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. Now you're his people. I'm his people. So when we speak these words, they're meant for us to understand. Like when you hear these things, There ain't no confusion. When you say these things to an Edomite, to any other nation, they don't understand what this is. It doesn't make sense to them. It's like static to them. They cannot understand. A person who is not of the Spirit of the Lord or who's wicked cannot understand these. Cannot understand these words. It doesn't make sense to them. Someone who's wicked in this world can never understand what the Lord's about to speak. It says, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord. And you know who he's talking about? He's talking about us. He's talking about us who go out and speak on the streets of America. He's talking to us who watch these programs and then go back and talk to people what we hear in these programs. This is an education system. This is a manner of re-education so that you might know what's being said to you. So that when you speak to another sister, you speak to another brother, you speak to your children, you speak to your parents, you speak to anybody, understand that what's being said here is put in thy mouth by the Lord himself. He says, which I will put in thy mouth. So these words that we speak into the ears, these prophecies, are because the Lord has put them in our mouth. We're not speaking for what I say. We're not speaking for what I got to say. We're speaking for what the Lord's got to say. He says, and verse 2, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. And of course, they're written on paper because it's going to last and outlast the test of time. That's why they're here for us, so that we may never forget what these words are. And today, they were put in paper back then, so that today, we who now pick up this paper that were written, man, I don't know, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, whenever they might have been written. When was this? Second Esdras? Oh, you know what it is. They were written on paper for our time because it's a prophecy. It says, fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Now, you know that people speak against us. You know that they say things about us when we're out speaking on the street. You know that they're out there saying all kinds of garbage out us. We know what it is. All of us brothers who go out there and we teach, all of us brothers who are out there, prophesying, we know what it is. You have to be out there to understand what that is. You know what I mean? It says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee. And what does that word incredulity mean? What is that word? And I know I'm probably saying it wrong. Let me try it. Incredulity. It's being unwilling or unable to believe something. That's what it means. It means unable to believe something. And he says, don't let that trouble you. Man, brothers who go out and speak, man, those people that don't believe what you're saying, the Lord says, don't let that trouble you. He says, don't let that trouble thee. He says, those that speak against thee, because that's what we face out there all the time. Imagine, this is a prophecy for the future for us who live in this time. And that prophecy is exactly meets the criteria of what we go through when we go to camp, when we go speak in the street. When it says, fear not the imaginations against thee, right? When it says, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee. When it says that speak against thee, man, that's all that happens to us when we go out to camp. That is definitely pointing at this time that we live in today. This is a prophecy for the future. And this is that future. This is what it is. This is that time. This is the time that we live. It goes on to say in chapter 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. You know that that's true. The Lord's going to destroy the unfaithful. right? We already know that. And it says, behold, once again, chapter 5, behold, said the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. Now remember, this is something that's happening in the future when Ezra wrote this. He said, I will bring plagues upon the world. Now, that's our time, because that plague that came by, that COVID, man, wiped out, what was that? Billions of people, millions of people in our time. And now you got this, what is that, monkeypox? And now you got, man, how many plagues came right after the COVID, right? They started, oh, now it's this strand, and it evolved to this strand, and it's evolved to this strand, and people are dying from this, and people are dying to that. And we've seen throughout the 90s these plagues that came onto the world, wiping out populations in Mexico, in China, in Europe, in America, in all over the world. And it says, I will bring plagues upon the world. And this is this world, this time we live in, the world of the Edomites, their time. This is their time. It could have said the earth, but it said the world, because he knew, Ezra knew, that at this time, who would be in charge of this world right here? And I'm going to show you how I'm correct on when I say that he's going to bring plagues upon the world. The world is this society that we live in today. This is the world. That's why I said you should open this book and read it. It says this world, right? And then it goes on to say that he's also going to bring the sword, right? And here now you see a sword coming. What is a sword? A sword is a weapon. A sword is a weapon that you use to kill. And that's what we're seeing today. We're seeing these Edomites. We're seeing these wicked people picking up their sword. What is the sword? The sword of today is a weapon. That's what the sword of today is. Today, in those days, a sword was a mighty thing to have, right? A mighty thing to have. That's what it was, right? Let me see. I wanna bring something. I want to bring something really interesting to you. I want to show you this real. I want to, and I know that I won't be able to show it to the brothers that are on my StreamYard, but for the brothers that are on my live feed, I'll be able to show it to you. And I'm going to turn it around for you to see what a sword is today. Sword International Inc. Cutting edge weapons. These are called swords. Here we go. Look. Right? Look it. Take a good look at what a sword is today. This is a sword. These weapons are known as Sword International. This is the cutting edge weapons of today. This is what they use. Right? I thought I'd bring that up to you. Well, let's go back. Let's go on. So what is a sword? Well, a sword is an assault rifle today. That's what a sword is. A sword is now known as an assault rifle. When Ezra said that I will bring plagues upon the world, then he says the sword. Whoa, hot damn. Seems like the sword is still in existence by name in this very day. In this day, it's called the sword. And as you can see, a sword is not just, it's a real weapon. It's a fully automatic weapon. It's used, I want to go in and tell you who uses it, because I rented it and I kind of went through it to find out who it was. And I wanted to, but I guess some other day I'll post it for you guys to read on it, or you can go around yourself and find the sword and see what it is. Okay, why not? Right? Why not? Is Ezra said that we were going to have a sword Here is their website, Sword Defense Systems, right? Small arms systems, right? Sword Defense has spent years designing, developing, ensuring that our products meet and exceed the needs of the end user. Sword realized, okay, there was a, well, I wanted to see the one that shows the United Nations uses some of their weapons as defense weapons in the United Nations. I wanted to find the one that did that. I got the MK-18 semi-automatic advanced sniper rifle, was engineered by long-range marksman with lightweight semi-automatic. Well, I mean, I could go on. The MRSSA MK-17 Mod 1 medium-range semi-auto sniper system, all right? And I can go on and on reading what these are, but these are weapons that they use, right, for military use out in the field. And they're called SWORD, S-W-O-R-D, right? It's called SWORD. Does that have anything to do with Ezra's? Most likely Ezra saw in the future and saw what a sword was going to be in our times, right? Khan Malakma, it says Esau was blessed with the sword. And yeah, that's a Caucasian company that makes those swords right there, those. So let's go on. It says they will bring plagues upon the world. And then it goes on to say that they'll bring the sword. And there is the sword. The sword is that fully automatic rifle that we see today. I wouldn't be surprised they didn't say, but what it would be like if they would show that automatic rifle that guy went into in Buffalo, New York, or the automatic rifle that other cat went in onto a supermarket right in the black neighborhood, or how about the one that went into the the hospital, right? What else, man? The one that went into the church, right? All within a consecutive amount of a couple of months, couple of weeks apart, somewhere even a week apart, right? We're seeing the sword being used at this point, but it gets more interesting. Let's continue. Goes on to say the sword, and then it says famine. You know what I'm saying? What is a famine? A famine is a shortage of food, a shortage of something, right? Remember, this is a prophecy. You're looking into the future. If you're kind of smart on things the way they're going, or if you're like me and work for, how could I say, one of those corporations where they wholesale everything, you know what I'm saying? Wholesale food thing, warehouse, suppliers, you know what I'm saying? You begin to see the increase of prices on water, on milk, on food, on chicken. I mean, I'm seeing like departments that food is going up. Thank you, Miriam. I just didn't want to say it out loud. Costco. But food is increasing like crazy. Water is increasing like crazy. The thing that people aren't really seeing is that if gas goes up, the price of food begins to go up. When it was at $5 a gallon, we saw an increase of $1 or $2 or $3 on food. But now in California, there's places that is selling gas for $9 a gallon, $10 up in Modesto in some of those areas. Ridiculous amounts to pay for gas. If you drive 30 minutes to work, you're spending almost $300 a month on gas. Think about that. Your paycheck is going into you going to work and paying for gas. And the brothers that I say that they like driving around in those real nice cars with the V8 365 engines, what is that? Man, I want to think of the name, but it erases my mind. But you can imagine how much they spent on gas. And when you're seeing this, you're seeing an increase on food and products. And when you begin to see that, you start realizing that not everybody is going to be able to afford to go to work. And not everybody's going to be able to afford to put all that food on their table. So you're going into a depression in America. America is heading into a depression quick. If you don't know, I remember reading back in school how before World War II, they saw a depression. Before World War I, they saw a depression. in Venezuela, what happened to Venezuela is what do they call that, hyperinflation. That's the word to use, hyperinflation. So you begin to see what hyperinflation causes, this what's known as famine or a shortage of food. Venezuela has a shortage of food. Venezuela is a Latin American country that has its own way of growing food, but yet their situation is so bad that they find themselves where they don't have food for their people, where people are paying like $40, $20 for a gallon of water. Oh, I mean, salakia for milk, bread, ridiculous. So you're seeing the beginning of a famine or the increase of prices in California, at least in California. I don't know what it's like in Texas, Miriam, or some of the other places, or in Chicago or some of the other places, but we're seeing it across the nation, how the increase is rising and the prices of everything are becoming ridiculous. And here it is where you can see the works of what? A famine coming across. And then it goes on to say, back to verse 5, it says death and destruction. Well, death and destruction, as we continue reading this whole chapter, you'll begin to see why famine, why death, why destruction, why famine. You'll begin to see where it comes from. And when you begin to see that, you begin to see why we're in the situation that we're in and how you got to come back, because it's about to get, Renath, the water, ridiculous in Mississippi. Here we go. You know, we're going to start seeing it. We're going to start seeing it. Like, if brothers were to see their neighborhoods, would see their state, their city, we could all start talking about, man, what is gas prices like in your city? What is food like in your city? You know, you can't go by what you used to. You know, now you're limiting, and you don't think about it. But if you really were to observe, you know, your life in a weekly basis, you start to realize, wait a minute, I'm not living it the way I used to. It's not as nice as it used to be. Now I'm struggling, man. We've always struggled, but now we're really struggling hard. Inflation in home prices. I'll tell you something. In California, you can't live in California no more. Like, they've gentrified our neighborhoods, and the way they've done it to gentrify Hispanic neighborhoods is by increasing taxes on property, increasing land taxes, increasing rents in our areas. Like, Hispanic people, you know how much it is? A one bedroom in California or a studio apartment in California is running you $1,200 right now for a one bedroom. And let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is, as Hispanics, we don't live by ourselves. Like, we got our husbands, we got our wives, we got our children, we got dogs. Like, we're like a pack. We live together. We have families. We're family-oriented culture. And so a one-bedroom apartment doesn't work for us. So then you try to rent a two-bedroom apartment. You got, and I'm not going to lie to you, because I know families like this, and I'm saddened to hear this. And it makes me wish, man, that I could do something to help. But, you know, man, but you got a family of the mom, the dad, the daughter, and the brother, and then and they live in a two-bedroom house. That means the brother and the sister have a room, and the dads sleep in the living room, or the mother and the father live in a room, and the son sleeps in the living room, because that's the only way we can make ends meet. We struggle. And to buy a house, houses in California are $700,000, a small house, and you ain't buying it no more. It's incredible. And they've done it on purpose to push our people out, increasing the mortgages, increasing the property taxes in an effort to push our people out of our neighborhoods. And we used to be able to live in South Central. Man, let me tell you something. Now we're like, shit, I want to live in the ghetto. Man, I don't care, just anywhere. I just want to have a roof on my house, on my head. And I don't want to have to be dealing with, man, I'm going to say this, man, with an Asian landlord or a Caucasian landlord or an Armenian landlord that's trying to increase my rent every 6 months, who's trying to make me leave, who comes over here and gives me hassles and problems. And he knows I have a family. He knows I'm trying to accommodate, give a roof to my people so that we can at least eat and have a refrigerator, you know? And yet we struggle in America. And let me tell you something. Some of us, we don't see it because we have a car. Well, at least I got my car. Shit, you know? At least, man, you know, we all live, even though I live in the living room, but I got my car. We're so small-minded that at least I have a nice ride. You know what I'm saying? That's how small-minded we are. And, man, having a relationship with Hispanic on Hispanic people, Black on Black people, and Native Indian, vice versa, Black and Hispanic, and Native American Indian with Black, and so on and so forth. If we could do that, we could look after each other and help each other out. But the problem is that we've lost trust in ourselves. And the truth is, I was talking about the Cholo culture. Well, that's why we lost trust in ourselves. Because sometimes you rent to Hispanic brothers and they bring their whole goddamn gang with them. And then you're like, oh, really? I rented to you, carnal? And now you got all the raza, you know, working on the cars in the driveway, and they're drinking beer, and you guys are causing a hassle, you know, and you're thinking, did I really rent to these guys? You know, how is my house looking on the inside? If they don't give a damn about the outside, because we lose respect for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And we got to start to learn to respect ourselves so that we can also earn respect from everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to live in this place. Shalom, Miguel. Shalom, carnal. So we really have to understand, but let's go back to our verse before we go anywhere else. And before we go anywhere else, because we got to continue to understand that that we have to help each other out. And give me 1 second while I bring in my carnal Malakma into here. Give me 1 second. And Talakia, you know, I know that sometimes we go into things heavy for our people, but we have to. You know what I'm saying? We have to go in heavy because our people are worth. ¿Sabes qué? Vale la pena el regaño. For those of you who don't speak the Spanish, it's worth getting, what is that, checked, you know, to do the right thing. It's worth getting checked. I sent you that invite, Malakma. I hope you got it. So death and destruction is what the Lord is going to bring. He's going to bring plagues upon the world. When I told you the word world, I meant this world, the world of America, the world that America, this democracy that America runs around every nation. That's the world. This is the world that Ezra is talking about. When he said about a future time, when he said about a prophecy, the world that he was looking at was the world that had a sword, was the world that was going to be plagued with famines, was a world that was going to be death and destruction, and that he was going to bring plagues on. This is that world. This is the white man's world that he's going to destroy. And I'm going to show you in the next verse that he meant this world. So let's go to verse 6. He says, for the wickedness had exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Now there is that word. In the first verse, in verse 5, he said he'll bring plagues upon this world. And he'll bring a sword, and he'll bring famine, and he'll bring destruction. And then in the 6th verse, he said, for the wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Now you know that he's mentioning two different words there. He said the earth, Ezra said the earth, and Ezra said the world. He said both of them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he meant that. Give me a second. Salakia. Okay, let me try it again. Malakma, I'm going to send you that invite again. Salakia, carnal. One more time. Let's try it again. See if this one works. But let me go back to it before I lose my place, right? He said the earth and he says the world. Here is the two different instances. In verse 5, 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, he says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world that we live in today, the white man's world. This is the one that's going to receive plagues. This world, America's world. He says the sword. I showed you, they got AR-15s, they got fully automatic weapons that are known as SWORD, sword, military grade weapons, small arms weapons company by the name of Sword, which is being used today all over the place. Inexpensive, easy to get. They're used by the United Nations in different instances, and now Sword is what's the name of their fully automatic, top of the line sniper rifles and these things. Then he says famine. Now we know that famine is what we're seeing today. The rise of the gas prices in California at $10 a gallon is causing us who go shopping to not be able to afford water because now it's $10. What used to be $2 or $3 now jumped to $8 and $9 for the package. Milk has gone crazy. Food has gone crazy. Now it's costing you almost a paycheck just to feed your family. And then it says death and destruction. So that's the 5th verse. And then you go to the 6th ones, and it says, for the wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. I'll tell you what wickedness that is. And that wickedness is, of course, the homosexuality that they have, that they're implementing. That's wickedness. The destruction of our Latin American countries. That's wickedness. The robbing, raping, and murdering of our people. The incarceration, the detention centers, the murder of our people on the streets of America. Brothers, black brothers being killed for no reason at all, mercilessly in the streets of America. The kidnapping and raping and disappearing of Native American Indian children. And it's all coming to flourish because now we're seeing what wickedness they did with the boarding schools and how they're finding hundreds of graves of children that were buried there, left to be forgotten, unmarked graves. Here is the wickedness that has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hateful and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Imagine that. Esdras wrote about a future time where their hurtful works are going to be fulfilled. And that's exactly what we're looking at today. Malakma Shalom Yahawah Shimya Washai Barakatah. Malakma is joining us on the live stream. If you're on live stream, you'll be able to see him. If not, you can stay with me here on my page and we'll continue. Malakma Shalom, Karnal.
Shalom, Marwan Yabashir Barakatah, sir. It's Nagi, just wanted to hop on the show with you, you know what I mean? I always got to, support the Carnales, always bringing out this truth. And I just wanted to touch on something you said earlier, right? That was pretty heavy, which was you was talking about the rent, right? And how they raise the rent and how, multiple families have to live together under the same roof, right? What did you say, in a 2-bedroom apartment, you got like 3 or 4 families living up in there? Then you see why there's so many, domestic issues plaguing us, like as a people, because this oppressor has risen the price on everything to where you can't even have your own household, because you know what I mean. Families, we're usually Israel. We're meant living. Once we have our families, we live. We have our own houses and everything. But when you got to lump 3 or 4 families together in one, now everyone is in everyone's business. Tensions are high because the main person's house, man. They expect you to be out there and having your own place. So then now that creates tensions and issue, and then when you have alcohol and drugs involved, then things get crazier, and that's why you see the one of the causes for a lot of the hatred and issues that goes on, with the raza and between families. You know what I mean? So I just want to touch on that. I don't want, because that was pretty heavy. Like, and now it makes sense.
And it's true. We have to live in this condition. But we're living in this condition, and we're seeing this because it's a prophecy that's being fulfilled. And it's in this verse that it says, for the wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Now here he's talking about the whole planet. You know what I'm saying? Here he's talking about the globe in itself and how it's polluted with the wickedness of America. And the hurtful works are fulfilled. And here is where we stand in that. These hurtful works are fulfilled for us, Malakma, because we're the ones hurting in this country. And they're the ones hurting us. We're the ones going through this in this country. Malakma, I'm reading 2nd Ezra chapter 15. I'm on verse 6. Just in case you want to jump that on. So, we're seeing how, man, we could go through all the hurtful things that these people have done to us. The sister said it the best, right? Mariam said TWMITD, and that's absolutely the absolute truth. The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. She spoke about inflation, home prices. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the destruction of our neighborhoods. I'm talking about the gentrification, the hardships of how, we're having a hard time living in this place, and how it's difficult for us to even be able to survive in this place. You know what I mean? And with that, we're having to how could I say, compromise in life just to be able to feed our children, just to be able to survive, just to be able to live. And it's a shameful thing. But once again, thinking of how Ezra saw it, this is something that has been predicted in a certain time in history, the appointed time, because as you see, as we keep reading, you'll see why this had to happen now. Verse 7 says, therefore said the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickednesses, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and the righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And let me tell you something. That verse is important because that's us today. We're the innocent, we're the righteous, and we're the ones that are crying out to the Lord today. We're the ones that continually complain. Our Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian brothers continually have complained and cried out for 500 years. We have continually told the story of how it's been for us. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched any of the videos that I've showed, which was one of them, Unseen Tears, Stolen Children, the one of it's grown men, grown women who lived through the boarding school incidents. And they're being interviewed and they're telling their stories of what they went through while being held captive in these boarding schools. And the videos are saddening because it's a grown man who can't even find it in himself to re-explain a tragedy that he went through as a child. Like, you know what I mean? If anybody's going to go shoot up a goddamn store, it's these people. If anybody's going to go shoot up and do some crazy shit, it should be these people. But instead, they sit there and they take that. They cry out in themselves, in the Lord. They suffer those things within themselves, the wicked things that were done to them. That's the righteous blood that cries unto the Lord himself. That's the righteous blood. Yashar Banat Shalom says the electric chair that was used in the boarding schools, that's where they were first introduced. That was where the electric chair was first introduced, and it was introduced because the children did not want to stop speaking their native language. And they used the chair as a manner to scare them and to torture them into stop speaking their language. That's what it was used for. That was the purpose of the electric chair. And then it became a weapon of destruction, of murder, of killing them. So we go on. If you want, you can read verse 9, Malakma, so we can kind of start going back and forth here.
Kawakan, sir. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 9. And therefore, saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them.
Now there you go. So the Lord will surely avenge our ancestors. The Lord surely will avenge all that we've gone through. Who is he going to avenge? When he says that's vengeance, isn't that vengeance? To avenge
Right.
is vengeance. And what does the Lord say? Vengeance is mine. Isn't that what the Lord says? Vengeance is mine. The vengeance is of the Lord. That's who has vengeance. And who is he going to avenge? He's going to avenge these nations who have done this to us. The British, the English, the Spanish, right? Who's the Dutch, right? The who else? The Africans, right? All these people that had something to do with Thawada Mariam, with the diabolical things that they did to us. Because that's the perfect word to use, Miriam. Diabolical. Because only a goddamn devil would do that to children, or would do that to women, or would do that to families. That's the perfect word. That describes the devil himself. Diabolical. And it hasn't ended. Because if you talk, no, that was 500 years ago. That was 300 years ago. That was during the time of slavery. No, that happened recently in the detention centers of America to Hispanic people. That's when it happened. To the children, to the wives, to the sisters, to the daughters, to the men. That's who it happened to. That happened to the black man that was murdered in his car by a police officer for a broken tail light. That happened to that sister because she wouldn't open the door to the goddamn cop who wanted to burst in without a warrant, and they decided to shoot her and kill her. That happened to the grandma, to the grandfather, to the uncle, to the aunts. That happened to my brothers and sisters on the reservations because they decided to lift the voice and protest against the land that they're trying to take from them, because they don't want your goddamn oil going through their sacred land. And you choose to murder them, to beat them, to spray them with water, poisonous water, water that had sewage in it, because that's what they were doing, if you didn't know. They were spraying sewage water at the native Indians who were out protesting for their land when they were trying to run the pipeline in North Dakota. In cold weather, they did that to them. That, Miriam, is diabolical. Go ahead, Malakma.
Like, I don't want to fight. I just want to ask you real quick. I don't know if you heard of a documentary called What Was Ours. It's playing right now on Amazon Prime. By any chance you heard of that documentary, Adawan?
I haven't, but now I'm going to watch it.
Kind of, if I could just touch bases, because it kind of touches on what we're talking about, how diabolical this oppressor is, right? It's about the Shoshone tribe and how they're trying, what they're trying to do is open up a museum on their reservation. You know what I mean? So that they can, teach their culture to people. The thing is, the main museum out there in Chicago has all their artifacts. So they literally had to go to Chicago to get back, to ask for their artifacts back, to ask if they could borrow them for their museum. Their own artifacts, that's their own culture. They got to ask this oppressor if they could borrow their artifacts. And then at the same time, this oppressor won't even lend them the artifacts. And it's messed up and diabolical, because when you go to the museum, you see the way Esau, puts the displays for Native Americans. He always gives the impression that, Native Americans are extinct, that our indigenous people are extinct, and that we're no more. That's why they got us in the museums. That's why they got it, they display us the way they do and make us seem like we're something of a relic of the past, because it's a way of mocking us. It's an insult. But just the fact that you got to ask this oppressor for your own artifacts back that belong to you, you got to ask them for permission. And then they're at the same time, they're going to, not even giving them back to you. They talk about you got to go here and ask these people if you can get it back. Like, when they should have the right to just have it back. It's theirs. And you're still denying them that. So this is why we say, the oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks about. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Salahi.
No, absolutely. Okay, continue. Got to watch that, though. That sounds like something. Go ahead and go on to the next verse.
Oh, come on, sir. Salahi. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt.
So now you can tell that our people are led like a flock to slaughter. That's always happened to us. If you look at this prophecy that Ezra is talking about, fits perfectly for Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, because we've always been slaughtered by our enemies. Like, they have had no compassion. If you talk about the Nahua people, the Nahuales, which is, all of the Aztecs, the Mayans, all of us, we're called Nahuas. When you talk about us, the Spaniards slaughtered us. By the sword, they slaughtered us. When you talk about the blacks, the black people were slaughtered by the English and the British. When you talk about the Native American Indian, the Native American Indian was slaughtered by these Americans. The Chicanos slaughtered by these people. And when we say slaughtered, and you go into history, and it's too much to talk about, but when you go into history, you'll see that that word slaughter fits us perfectly with the atrocities that they have committed on our people. It's the perfect word to describe how we've been treated. Go ahead with 11.
Khan. Verse 11, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof.
So this is important because verse 10 tells you, I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Egypt. I'll tell you what he means by that. Ezra says that the Lord will not suffer us to live here in America. That word Egypt, the land of Egypt, means captivity. And right. Ezra is talking about this nation, America. When he says, I will not suffer them to dwell in the land of Egypt, he's talking about us in America. And I'll prove it to you. Because if you go down, he says, I will bring them with a mighty hand and stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. Right. So if he says that he's going to smite Egypt with plagues as before, that word as before means that he's talking about another Egypt incident. So what was the first Egypt incident? Well, that was where Moses was at. Moses' time, the Lord smite Egypt with plagues. And now he's smiting this other Egypt, which is America, because Egypt just means captivity.
Right.
The real name for Egypt was Mizraim. So this is saying that it's easy. It'll say, you should read, I will smite your captivity with plagues just like before. And here is the one, and will destroy all the land thereof. He's telling you right now that he's going to put plagues all on America. And then he says he's going to destroy this land. So you better be ready that America, you better know that God's about to destroy this place. Ezra saw it in the future, and we're breaking it down right now. Go ahead with 12.
Sir. Verse 12, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it.
So you know that America, America is going to cry. You're going to hear crying on the streets of America. People will be crying about it. They'll be like, oh, poor America, poor America. You know, they don't even know, because he's bringing plagues and punishment. He's bringing plagues to show you, and punishment. You know why punishment? Why do you get punished? Because you did something wrong. That's punishment. You're going to get punished for something that you did. And America deserves punishment. America deserves this destruction that the Lord's going to bring on it. Go ahead, Malakma.
The next verse, Adawan? Khan. Verse 13. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation.
Man, imagine that. Like, man, we won't even be able to grow food here. We won't even be able to, grow anything here. It says through the blasting and the hail. Man, blasting, I already know what that means. You know what I mean? That word is a heavy word. The Lord's going to blast this place. He's going to blow this place up. You know what I mean? He's going to blow this place up. Go ahead.
Nah, sir, I was going to say just real quick. It looks like the first part of that is already happening, right? Till the ground shall They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail. Because you looking right now, you can look at Oroville upstate, right? Lake Oroville, Lake Shasta Lake, Lake Mead, the Colorado River. They're all those lakes are drying up. Those reservoirs, right? The Colorado River doesn't even spill and make it to the Gulf of Mexico because of all the water that all the farms are soaking up. And now they're running out of water, and a lot of farms are going, are dead. They can't even grow crops. So Elias, it looks like that's already starting to take place with that. So you're looking at the beginning of the famines happening. And man, you go to Lake Mead, you look at Lake Orb, there's literally almost no water in those lakes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see it happening when the Lord, when Ezra's through the Lord starts giving these predictions of a future time of an Egypt that's going to exist again, and how the people that were held captive are there today, and why he's going to destroy it because of the wickedness that they're doing. Then this fits perfectly as a description to America. Continue reading.
Come on, sir. Verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein.
Woe to the world and them that were dwelling in. Man, woe means total destruction. That's what the word woe means. When you see that word woe, that means destruction to the world and then that dwell therein. Now, the world, remember, it didn't say woe to the earth. It said woe to the world. And why the world? Because if you want to be part of America, if you want to be part of this democracy, then you're dwelling inside of American culture. You're dwelling inside of this America, of their world. And the Lord's going to destroy this world. What does it say? The end of Esau is the beginning of help me out there.
For the end of Esau, what is it? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that followeth.
The water, there we go. Esau is the end of the world. And it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Esau is the end of the world.
Right.
And Jacob is the one that follows. So here on the 14 one, he's saying Esau's world is about to end because he's talking about a new Egypt. He's talking about a new captivity. He's talking about another Egypt, another place where we're being held captive. And he says, woe to that world, destruction to that world, destruction to Esau's world. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is that follows. World without end, it says. But this one, he's going to destroy it. Continue reading.
Come on. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Salaki Malakma, you missed 15.
Oh, Salaki, I don't want. Verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands.
Now that's an interesting word, right? Because it's telling you right there that the sword the sword and their destruction draws near. Man, let me tell you something. The sword, once again, the sword is a weapon of mass destruction. I just showed you a minute ago how Sword is a company that makes weapons. They make weapons for the United Nations. They make weapons for other countries. Fully automatic sniper rifles, all these things. It's called SWORD. Is the manufacturer of these weapons that are being made. They're one of the top manufacturers of weapons used all over the world. And it says, for the sword and their destructions draws near, and one people shall stand up and fight against another. That right there is civil war in this country. Again, if you read 2nd Ezra chapter 15, it's talking about America. It's talking about Esau's world and the end of the world that they know. What does it say? Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And it says another Egypt. Well, this is the Egypt he's talking about. It's talking about the souls, the innocent souls that cry it out, the ones that complain continually. That's us. We're the ones that are, what does it say? The wickedness of this world has spread throughout the earth. There it is. The wickedness of this world, this society has spread all across the earth. This is Esau's wickedness, Esau's world. The end of, for Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the one that follows, world without end. Second Ezra, chapter 15, is pointing out the time that we live in today and the destruction that the Lord is going to bring onto this place known as Egypt again. So continue, read on to 16.
Come on, sir. Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Man, imagine that. That's an interesting verse right there, because once again, right, we're talking about a future time that Ezra is looking at, and if you read this, right, for there shall be sedition among men. Do you know what the word sedition means? To incite people to rebel against authority of a state or monarch. Do you know what time he's talking about here? This happened when you saw America. What didn't we just see? Did you see that on the news that they're trying to get Donald Trump for what they did at the White House?
Right.
Right? With the insurrection.
Right.
Isn't that what it was? What it was called?
Concert.
The insurrection. So this verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. This occurred when we saw these people do that to the White House, go against your president. And now you see America is split because they hate the president. And
right.
Some of them hate this president, some of them hate the other president. And what does sedition mean? Conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch.
So
what better? Go ahead.
Now, I'll say, weren't they charged with the people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th? Weren't they charged with sedition, or wasn't Donald Trump charged with that? Right?
That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what he was charged with. And you're seeing that Ezra's already predicted that. Right. He already saw that, right? And it says on 16, it says, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings. In invading one another. Now, you know what invading means.
Right.
Is to subjugate. I'm gonna break it down. To subjugate or to occupy it. To enter a place in large numbers, especially with intrusive effect. Man, that sounds like what happened right there.
Right.
Isn't that what that is? The Proud Boys. That's what Esdras wrote down right here in verse 16 is exactly what we saw that happened during that whole thing of Donald Trump. He says, and I shall not regard their kings nor princesses, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And that's exactly what happened that day. This 16 explains that situation right there. That's what that means. Go on to 17.
Come on, sir. Verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Go on.
Go
to 18.
For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
So this whole 16, 17, and 18 is none other than what was happening during the times of Donald Trump. This is a perfect explanation of Ezra seeing into the future and seeing this time taking place. What did he say? This is a prophecy of a future time in a place called Egypt, where God's people are being, hurt, and they're being what is that? What did it say? Hurtful, right? They're being hurtful. No, let me break it down to what it really says. Let me not go around it, right? It says Salakia. You don't lose your place, okay? Keep your place right there, because we're gonna continue right there. We're gonna continue right there. Let me see. Here it is. It says dang it, I lost it. Well, I lost it. Let's go on before I forget where I'm at. Okay, so where are we at? 18? Let's go to 18.
Come on, Counselor. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
Go on to 19.
Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation.
Imagine that all these are prophecies that are going to come in the future. And we're seeing this whole chapter of Ezra's being fulfilled in our time. We can expect to hear the rest of this start to fall into place. You know what? The Lord has given this. Why did he say? For we can have understanding. For we can understand. It says at the beginning, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put on thy mouth, right? And cause them to be written on paper, for they are faithful and true, right? So that's for us. This is for us. This is a warning to us. For those of us who are short of faith or think things aren't working out, Ezra is breaking down our time right now. Continue reading.
Come on, Counselor. Verse 20, behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them.
Imagine when he says have done to them, he's talking about us. He's going to call the kings, right, to fight against each other for what they've done to us. That right there is a world war that he's about to prepare. From where the sun rises in the east to the south and all around, they're all going to rise up. Continue reading.
Come, Counselor. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom, thus saith the Lord God.
And there it is. When I said that the things they have done to them, and I told you that's us, then it goes on to say, like as they do yet this day unto my chosen. Who are the chosen? The 12 tribes of Israel, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. So will I do also, and recompense them in their bosom. So he knows that Ezra knew that today they were still doing that to us today. And it's perfectly aligned with what we see that they're doing to our people today. In the detention centers, in the prison system, murdering us on the street. All these things they're doing to us. Just the way it's written down in the book of Ezra as a prophecy for our time. Continue with 22.
Come on, Counselor. Verse 22, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth.
Continue reading.
The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and have consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled.
Continue reading.
Woe to them that sin, and keep not my commandments, saith the Lord.
So this is talking about us. This is talking about Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. He says, man, his right hand will not spare the sinners. Who can sin? Only we can sin. when we break the law, statutes, and commandments. Those nations can't sin. These precepts are put upon us. When he says the sinners he will not spare, man, that's us. We're the ones that are going to go into that. So woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, said the Lord. Man, that's us right there. Continue reading.
Come on. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power defile not my sanctuary.
Continue.
For the Lord knoweth all of them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. Keep going on one.
Go ahead. Last one.
For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Behold, horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east.
So we're just up to 27. So that's where we're at now. This is our time. For now the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For God shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. So when you're wondering, man, why Black, Hispanics, Native American, white man, why, if they're God's chosen people, why are they getting the plagues? Well, here it is. This is why, because you choose to be in the midst of it. You choose to be amongst America. You choose to participate with them. And for that, the Lord is not forgiving. The Lord will give you the same plagues that he's going to give them. He's going to destroy you just like he's destroying them. Why? Because you choose to participate with America. What we need to do is we need to separate. We need to come to terms with ourselves and our brothers and decide that we need to gather together. What does it say? Gather yourselves together. Gather ourselves together and separate ourselves from a nation that has done nothing but destroy us. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 from verse 1 all the way to 27 tells you about what's about to happen to America. This place is Egypt that he's talking about here. This is that place that we're captive. This is the place where the Lord has put, the sword, where he has put the rise up of people who are just out shooting other people. The place where, else did it say? Where crazy white man got up and went up against the government and went into the place and didn't give a damn about no president or nothing. This is the place that he's talking about the place where he put plagues on this world and death and sword and famine and destruction. This is the one I was looking for. This is the place where the wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. They're fulfilled, man. This is the end of it. You've done all you can to Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. And now the Lord is about to send his wrath against America. And he's not going to send his wrath. Let me take that back, because it sounds like at once he's just going to send this out. No, let me tell you something. It's already here. Egypt was not destroyed in one day, or maybe not in 2 nights, or maybe not in 3 weeks, or maybe not in a month, or maybe not in a year. The Lord sent plagues, send over time. And he kept doing it. For a whole year, maybe. He did the whole thing. He kept them going for months, maybe, to show them that, man, this is going to happen. And you know what? If they didn't do it, and the Lord, and let me tell you something, the Lord didn't destroy Egypt because of the Egyptians. The Lord didn't destroy Egypt because of the Africans. You know, people think, well, the Lord destroyed Egypt. No, man, the Lord didn't destroy Egypt. What the Lord did was send plagues to Egypt because we didn't want to understand that Egypt was not our place. Because Israel, while they were being held captive there, they wanted to be Egyptians. They wanted to worship their gods. They wanted to be part of the Egyptian system. They wanted to be part of all that. And we would not let go. Even after we left Egypt, thousands of us still wanted to live in Egypt. We were still saying, man, Moses, why did you bring us out here to die in this desert, to die in this wilderness? You should have just left us there. We were doing good right there already. We still went to the mount where God gave us the commandments. And when Moses came down, we were already worshiping other gods because we were like, oh, Moses, man, he bring us out here. Now we got to get another god out here. Now we got to make a cow. Now we got to make a donkey. Now we got to make a goddamn rooster. Now we got to do this. Now we got to do an eagle. Thinking of just what can we worship, because we are so lost. And we're no different today. Now I got to go run and buy a candle with the Virgin Mary on it. Now I got to go buy a goddamn statue with the black San Martin de Porres. Now I got to buy a picture of white Jesus. Now I got to put candles and light them up and feed them water and give them an egg, and because that little saint needs to eat. And my mom, hey, your fruit is rotting in the kitchen in front of that goddamn candle, and it smells. And he hasn't ate it, and you've had it there for a month, and it's goddamn rotting. When are you gonna clean it? You know, throw away the candle, buy another one. You know what I'm saying, Malakma?
Right. So, like, sir, if I could,
go ahead.
They still gotta salute that goddamn American flag and stand up for the national anthem.
Absolutely. So why did the Lord destroy Egypt? Because we did not want to listen. Why is this happening to America? Because we do not want to listen. Because we want to be Americans, like Malakma said, because we want to pledge allegiance to a flag. Because we want to take a knee, Thawada Halak. Because we want to take a knee, because we want to honor their holidays, because we want to celebrate 4th of July, because we want to have a Thanksgiving dinner, because we want to have Christmas, because we want to have a tree, because we want to do all the wicked things that had exceedingly polluted the whole earth, as Ezra said, because we want to do that. The Lord has to bring plagues here so that you can see, your mom can see, your uncle can see, your brother can see that it's because of you that this is happening. Actually, I'll tell you something. America should be mad at Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. They should have us in cages. Because of our fault, God's going to destroy them. Because of our fault, God's giving them plagues. Because we're here, we're a burden to them. Because we're here. And how do they take care of the burden? They punish us. Because they know in their heart that because of our fault, they're going to be destroyed. And they got these dreams that they make into movies because their spirits are in there haunting them, saying, man, these people that you have captive are the reason that their God's going to destroy you. And we have no way out. It's going to happen. And instead of there in the greatest thought thinking, well, let's treat them right. Let's give them honor. Let's give them something. They don't. They don't. They treat us in the opposite. But why? Because even if they were to treat some Mexicans or some blacks or some Native Indians correctly, we would be monsters to them. We would still be the same way because we don't even know that God loves us. So in our ignorance, we would be like, oh, they're treating me like that, like a king. Well, then let me take advantage of it. Let me crunk. Let me, what is that other, what is that dance that the women do?
Twerk.
Twerk. Let me twerk. Let me gangbang. Let me rob, steal. Let me do all the wicked ass things that Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians do. Why? Because we don't know any better. Why? Because we don't know God. That's the bottom line. Because we don't know what is that precept? The ass knoweth the ox knoweth
his owner.
There you go. The ox knoweth his owner. And continuing, what else? But
and
Israel
knoweth his master's crib or something like that.
God. But us, we don't know. We don't know.
Israel does not know.
But Israel, we don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. We're blinded. But that, because we're getting short on time, but that is why this chapter of Esdras is important in our time. Because if you go back to verse 1, we're the reason why you're going to know. We're the reason why we're going to call on the Lord. We're the reason why Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are going to wake up. And we're going to come back to who we are. We're the reason why. Because, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, said the Lord. And that's what we do today. Malagma, before we go, you got something? Go ahead.
Nah, the one that's just heavy. You know what you brought out, like for you to say, like the Lord didn't, put those plagues on Egypt because of what Egypt did, but because to show us. And that's one thing. Like we're so, like we're so destroyed, right? That we keep wanting to join these oppressors, man. We keep wanting to join America after everything America shows. Like America does not want us to be a part of it. They demonstrate it to us every day. I was gonna ask you, I don't know, what I'm seeing, like, the president's over here with the Summit of the Americas. I mean, I don't even know what all that's about. You know what I mean? Like, but I see, like, the Cubans, like the tribe of Manasseh, they're right there protesting because they're not, they weren't allowed to be at the summit. And that's how destroyed we are. That we want to beg, we still want to beg and protest to be at their table. When the Lord is showing you that that's not what He wants for us, man. He does not want us to be joined with them. The Lord doesn't want everybody to come together as one, man. Right. And because we want to join together as one is why we're destroyed, man. That's why we're jammed up.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like absolutely. Real quick, I got my brother.
Go ahead. I don't want.
Oh, I was going to say,
sir, like that's why we're so destroyed as a people because, we want to be, American, like you said. We want to be American. We want to be, we don't want to give up birthdays. We don't want to give none of these holidays. When you see all the things that they end in disaster. And it doesn't have to be like that, man. We're so afraid of suffering, of missing out and partaking in America and the cultures and lifestyle, that this oppressor puts on us. When if we would just be willing to suffer and give all that up, we could have something greater, something a lot greater. We can't even fathom what it is to be free because we've been slaves for such a long time. But so like, sir, that's all,
Okay, Khan. I was gonna say Salakia Malagma, but you're absolutely right, man. We want to join with these people, and these people, they don't deserve us joining with them. They don't deserve us doing anything with them. You know what I mean? Because they don't deserve our love. They had an opportunity to do that with us, and they never did. They chose to instead destroy us. You know what I mean? And that is something that is unforgiving. So as for us, we will never join with them. It's something that just can't be, can never be. You know what I mean? Because that's the way it is. The brother, let me see if you're still on. A ver, carnal, Isaiah Hogan. Isaiah Hogan asked me, Salakia Arwan, what is the symbol on your hat? Okay. Isaiah, are you still on? Real quick, are you still on there? Are you still on my thread? I want to answer you, but I want you to understand what we're about to talk about. So if you're on, just go ahead and kind of give me a heads up if you're still on. You know what I mean? If not, it's called the fleur de lis. That's what it's called, fleur de lis. It's an ancient symbol, right? The ancient symbol. It's also Israel symbol. You know what I mean? It's Israel symbol. I wear it because not only is it the symbol of Israel, which represents the ancient culture that was actually where I'm from, right? But it was also passed on to my ancient, how could I say, my ancestors in Latin America. The Mayans and the Aztecs and the Toltecs also used this symbol. They also use the same symbol, the fleur de lis. You find it in a lot of ancient relics across Latin America, but you also find it in Israel, and that's why I use it. Isaiah, I wish you would have still been on. I would have liked to, comment with you and go back and forth, but that's okay, brother, man. The water for being on the show, and asking the question. It's always nice to have brothers, jump on and ask questions. Isaiah, I hadn't seen you on the show before, so if you're ever on, man, make yourself present, carnal. More than likely, we'd like to get, we'd like to cross with you on and off. But with that, man, I want to thank everybody for jumping on the show. Once again, this is the Inconvenient Truth. Tawada to Malakma for coming on. Malakma Tawada for jumping on. Man.
To you.
Great show, man. That you were talking about us trying to, what is that? The Cubans and Puerto Ricans trying to be part of that. Man, we always trying to be part of something. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be part of something. And you're right. We're begging to be part of something. You know what? We should be begging to be part of the Lord's kingdom. That's what we should be begging for. To be part of the Lord's kingdom. To be part of a real kingdom. Of something that is ours. This is not our rest, says the Bible. So when we go and we plead with them to participate in their rallies or this or that or the United Nations, man, we're asking for nothing. We're asking for scraps off their table, and that's what they're going to give us. You know what I mean? So that's why it is. And Gutierrez says the Lord's favorite flower. If he preferred a flower, why not a people? I agree with that.
Right.
You know, the way he preferred a flower, he preferred a people. We are the, what did you say? The apple of his eye. That's who we were. We were the apple of his eye. Black Hispanics and Native American Indians. Maybe that's why we're so rebellious, because we belong to a greater power. And we should always remember that. I want to thank everybody for jumping on the show, The Inconvenient Truth, every Wednesday. As you know, we are here tomorrow. Captain Gudahar, don't forget what is that? Black Watch Radio, right? On our channels. You can always tune into that with Commander General Johanna. You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow you can tune in with breakdown classes right here in California. You know what I mean? One West Radio also tomorrow. Always nice. You know what I mean? ISUPK Puerto Rico, ISUPK Mexico, the home of the truth, ISUPK. Las gracias a todos por sintonizar. Thank everybody for joining in. Share, like this class, push it. Let us know what you think. Remember, we're the ISUPK coming out 125th Street. We're here to tell you the truth, and that's what it's all about. Till next week, Shalom, Israel.
Shalom, Rasa.
Oh, the Water Halak, High Holy Day this Sunday. What is it? How can we forget? Man, the Feast of Dedication.
Is it the other one? Feast of Dedication or Feast of First Fruits?
First of First Fruits. I believe, yeah, you're right. It's the Feast of First Fruits this week. Absolutely, on Sunday. Right now that it's coming to me, what happens? I'm trying to do everything at once, and it's slipping my mind. But it is Feast of First Fruits. You want to contact your local ISUPK, participate, go down there, and be part of a greater something. You know what I'm saying? With that, Shalom, Israel.
Shalom, Rasa.